This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers' three-day minicamp is in the books. Closed things out earlier today with another practice. All that's left of the offseason program is another week of OTAs next week that will be just for the rookies. Then it's off until training camp. It's then that fans could see tight end Tucker Kraft back on the field. Told reporters yesterday there's a chance he could start camp on the physically unable to perform list following his recovery from a torn ACL. The coach Matt LaFleur has left open the possibility he would be available. Kraft does believe, though, is he'll be ready for week one at Minnesota, and he'll do so with no worries about the stability of his knee.
Well, because mine was a contact injury, it wasn't my body necessarily failing me. I have all the confidence in the world in my knee. It's just about getting that strength back in the quad, calf, hamstring, getting everything together. And 2 Mondays ago, I hit 21.5 miles an hour. So my speed feels fine. Now it's just about the cardio and getting those reps and all the footwork and fundamentals that comes with playing tight end at a high level.
Again, the Packers back in the field next week for the final stretch of OTAs. Turning to Wisconsin, they're going to host another group of recruits this weekend. Right now, their 2027 recruiting class sits at 22 players and ranks inside the top 15 in the country.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, it's an off day for the Brewers. They're going to get back into action tomorrow night when the Phillies come to American Family Field. And the crew could be getting some reinforcements here in the near future, as Brandon Woodruff, expected to rejoin the team this week, could be in line to make a start next week. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Brunson gets it, fires up a three. Shot no good. The tip, it's gone! It's gone! It's gone! With 1.2 remaining. Knicks take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106. Harper lobs it inside. Hassel hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off the miracle comeback and lead it 3-1.
What in the world did we watch last night? Witness the hand of God. Wow. This finals is going to be as much about the Spurs blowing leads as the Knicks winning game.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Final call from Mike Breen last night. Great call. He didn't miss. And just a comment from Colin Cowherd earlier today that, well, one, kind of communicates how I feel. Like, I think so far the series is just as much about the Spurs blowing leads as it is Knicks winning games. But also it was 10 seconds long, and I needed a 10-second comment to fit in the intro. So that's where we'll start tonight. We'll start and end with one of the crazier NBA playoff games in a while. And an NBA Finals game to boot, a very decisive one. The difference between 2-2 and 3-1 is massive. So we'll start the show there. We will end the show there. Justin Garcia, our friend who's just a great basketball contributor to the show, will be here at 5:30, Bucks Radio Network and Locked On Bucks. So we'll start with basketball, end with basketball. In the middle, we'll hit a whole bunch of different things. I have a Brewers take on last night's game, the road trip as a whole, going 4-2. Not bad at all. Felt a little unbalanced. Had they just won 2 of 3 and 2 of 3, would we feel differently? Maybe. The end result for the road trip between Colorado and Vegas is still very good. And I'll give you the take specifically on last night here in just a little bit. So we'll work that into the show. Any Packers takeaways from what Matt LaFleur had to say earlier and another day of Packers practice. So we'll work in some Packers conversation as well. The number wide open for 2 hours if you would like to join. 608-321-1670. Call and text. And you can jump in on the live stream as well on the Wisco Sports Zone app, the YouTube channel, which I'm told by Clumhead Mike, I saw a comment yesterday, that we've reached 900 subscribers. Gosh, thank you very much for that. It's not something I pay attention to. It's not something that I put effort into, and I should. It's a laziness thing. It's a shortcoming of mine. I just like making the show is accessible for everybody, just so you have a way to watch and listen if it's on your phone or your radio or an app or on YouTube, whatever that might be. But the Wisco Sports Zone app going to have the live stream, the audio feed of all of our shows, the podcasts. That's where you can listen to the camp and the swing Zach, by the way, if you want some off-season college basketball content, had Joe Krabenoff on the swing earlier this week. New episode of The Camp with Zach and Jesse out today. That was very good. I was listening to that this morning at the gym. Humble brag. I did make it to the gym this morning, despite being up late. Pretty impressed with myself. All right, the finals. I'm never surprised when an NBA team blows a big lead. Ever. And I don't say that to be like, I'm smarter. I knew last night when the Spurs were up, whatever it was, I don't have it in front of me. I knew the Knicks would come back. I knew not to turn off my TV. No, I actually switched a little bit more to the Brewers game. I was going back and forth until the end of Knicks Spurs. Then I was pretty focused on Knicks Spurs, following the Brewers on my phone a little bit more. So no, I'm not saying that I would have predicted the comeback or that I would have bet the comeback. That's not what I'm saying. I have no lean on how any of these games are ever going to go. My predictions are, I don't give predictions because I have no clue. The largest lead for the Knicks was, or the largest deficit, I guess, for the Knicks was 29. Woo! But I wasn't surprised at all that a team came back from 29. I wouldn't be surprised if a team came back from 35, honestly, because basketball is it's a sport, I think, that reflects human nature more so than any other. I think human nature is reflected in basketball in a way that it isn't in football, in a way that it isn't in baseball. In football, guys are mostly, even on the worst teams, in the most meaningless games, the vast majority of players are still going 100%, 100 miles an hour all the time, because that's really the only way you can play that sport. In baseball, I don't know that there is an upper and lower gear. There just is. There's 162 games. There's a pretty regular pace throughout. I don't know that you can look at one night or the other and say, oh, the boys are trying a lot harder tonight. They're taking it easy tonight. Now, when a game gets out of hand, you might use different players. You might put Jake Woodford in instead of Aaron Ashby. But the effort from the players and the speed and the intensity with which they play is pretty consistent. Same with football. You got to go hard all the time. Otherwise, you'll get killed. That's just how football players are wired. You have to be wired to play that way in the NFL. In the NBA, human nature comes into the game a lot more. And you see that on a macro level, game to game, meaning when a team is up 2-0, as the Knicks were, it's just really hard for the team that's up 2-0 to play with the same desperation as the team that's trailing 2-0. So you might have watched game 3 when the Spurs won at Madison Square Garden and thought, man, the Spurs they look like they're hungrier, they're more desperate, and the Knicks look like they're playing up 2-0. Yes, because that's exactly what's happening. And I know that in a perfect world, we think, well, it doesn't matter what the series is at. You should play as hard as you can. That shouldn't matter. Yeah, but it does. It does. You know what I mean? I listen to a little Bill Simmons. I kind of miss when he would do podcasts with Ryan Russillo. And a Russillo line that's always stuck with me, he would always say this during the NBA playoffs, it's hard to fake desperation. It's just not something you can't create desperation. As a team that's up 2-0 in a series, you can't go out there and play like you're down 2-0. It's just, it goes against human nature. So game to game, you see human nature. Last night, when a team takes a 29-point lead, guess what? They take their foot off the gas. It's just what happens. You change gears mentally. You change gears physically. You play a little differently. You might get a little lackadaisical. You might get a little relaxed. You might start thinking about the next game. You might, instead of going to the cup so hard, you might shoot more jumpers. Well, of course, that's what happened to the Spurs last night. They're up 29, so they start playing like a team that's up 29. That's something that happens in basketball that doesn't happen as much in the other sports. I'm not saying it never happens, but it's really present in the sport of basketball. The Knicks start to put together a little bit of a run. And when they drew it to like 15, I'm sitting there thinking, this is a game. This is a game. Because the Knicks have the juice of the team that's mounting a comeback. The Spurs have the energy and the juice, or lack thereof, of a team that's trying not to blow it. Like, that game was always going to get tight at the end if the Knicks could just get it to within like 15, 12 points. That's human nature. So I'm never surprised. I know there were so many people that walked away from last night's game thinking, I can't believe that a team had a 29-point lead and blew it. I would believe that 7 days out of the week and twice on Sunday, because that's how the sport works. Not to mention you hit a couple of threes and it can happen really, really fast. Now, that doesn't excuse the Spurs from making mistakes and not executing down the stretch. Sure. But the human nature of a basketball game and the human nature of the players playing the basketball game, 29-point lead, that's now it doesn't happen often because a lot has to go right. But the fact that that became a game at the end and the Knicks won, no, it's not surprising at all. Having a 20-plus point lead in the first half means very little because the other team starts to make a bunch of threes. The other team gets tight. Boom, the basketball game. It's just how the sport works, which I actually kind of like because I kind of need to keep the game on. I can't turn a game off because one team hits a couple of threes. The other team starts to fall asleep a little bit. Bang, basketball game, even if it didn't feel like it for the first 3 quarters, and it didn't. So big picture, not surprised that a team came back from 29. It's how basketball works. The Wemby part of this series specifically is very interesting. There's a coming of age storyline. There's a storyline of whether or not he's the new best player on the planet, face of the league, that type of thing. There's lots at stake for Wemby, for his player kind of report card or his ledger right now. And I think the way that we talk about Wemby tells us quite a bit about the way we view the sport and the players who play. I'll give you a piece of sound here from Nick Costos. He's a Knicks guy, but really good. His show, You Better, You Bet. I'll play. I think he's great. But this is him talking about the Knicks and Wembanyama specifically on his show earlier today.
He choked last night. There's no way around it. And yeah, Mitch Johnson deserves a lot of blame. I'll get to that. And yes, De'Aaron Fox was so bad down the stretch of this game last night that I kind of think the Spurs should trade him. We'll get into that.
Which bums me out, by the way, because I love De'Aaron Fox. Tough moment for him. Anyway.
But don't let any of that blind you to the fact that the best player in the world and the best player in the series laid a Humpty Dumpty sized egg in the second half last night. Now he's 22. There will be better days ahead. But you want to fancy yourself to be this leader, right? You can't let your team go out there. And he's 22, right? Is it fair to say that? Well, the way he talks, the way we talk about him means it is fair to criticize this.
And I think Costos, he would probably admit he's a Knicks guy, so he's maybe a little bit more jaded against some of the things that Wemby says and talks about. As a third-party guy, Wemby talks about being a leader and he talks about playing the right way. That doesn't really, I don't know. That really doesn't factor in for me. I could totally see why it's front of mind for a Knicks fan. But he said at the end, for the way that we talk about him. So that I understand. If we're going to talk about Wemby as the guy who's about to take over the league, and that kind of became the conversation when they won game 1 against the Thunder. It's like, he's coming. Look out, right? The way that we talk, the way the media talks about him, you would have to hold him to a pretty high standard, right? And the pass that he threw at the end of game 2 that hit Stephon Castle in the back, right? Or was it the guard from Rutgers, who I always forget, Dylan Harper. I can't remember which one. But the point guard, he tried to throw it up, tie game, throws it into the guy's back, and then commits the foul. Bad moment, right? It would be very easy to look at the series that Victor Wembanyama has had and say, well, he's 22. What do you want? He's a kid. It doesn't usually happen for guys at that age. They need to go through some growing pains and some failures. LeBron did. Jordan did. I mean, in our own backyard, Giannis did. He failed, pretty hard in the playoffs a couple of times before breaking through. But I get where Costos is coming from, the way that we talk about Wemby and the way that he's been framed as the next thing. Well, you can't really throw the ball away at the end of the game like he did in game 2. And you can't really miss 2 free throws in that moment the way that he did. So I don't know if, I don't know. I'm excited to talk about this with Justin in the second half because I think he has some strong opinions on Wembanyama. I really don't. He's a 22-year-old super talented kid. And I think part of the problem is he won one great series against the Thunder, and everyone's like, he's going to win multiple championships. He's off and running. He's already better than Giannis and Jokic. I'm like, well, wait, guys, wait a minute. We view Jokic's one title right now as kind of a disappointment. We view Giannis's one title right now as kind of a disappointment. But before we get to talk about Wemby being better than those guys, he needs to win multiple MVPs. He needs to lead his team to a championship. Do you understand how big of a mountain that is? I watched Wemby in the fourth quarter last night and said, well, Giannis found a way to make those free throws. There's a player or two around the basket defensively. Towns got a bucket. Can't remember if it was OG Anunoby around the rim, got a bucket. I'm not talking about the tip-in, but I'm talking about a layup. It might have been Brunson. Where I'm like, yeah, Giannis found a way to block that shot. in his finals. To lead your team to a championship as the best player, you need to become superhuman in multiple moments, in multiple games. And yeah, Wemby's not quite there yet. But he's 22, and I don't expect him to be there yet, but I think a lot of people do because we've already crowned him as a player that's going to win multiple rings. He's already ahead of Giannis. He's already ahead of Jokic, where I'm more, and I've said this on the show, it's like, guys, before Giannis passes guys, or before Wemby passes guys who we consider to be disappointments, Giannis and Jokic with what they've accomplished, you realize he has to do a lot. You know what I mean? Like, Giannis won multiple MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, best player on a title team, dropped 50 in Game 6, and made his free throws as a guy who's not a good free throw shooter. And I watched Wemby last night. It's like, yeah, needed one or two more defensive plays or one or two more rebounds, and you needed to make your free throws. I don't hold that against him in a huge way because I'm like, he's 22. But a lot of people already believe him to be the best player on the planet, so I understand why you'd hold him to that standard. One other thought on last night's game. If I was a Spurs fan, I'd be ticked, not just because my team is down 3-1. Any fan base would be ticked about that. If I was a Spurs fan, this is just the way I'm viewing it on the outside, I would look at game 1, advantage Knicks. They were rested. The Spurs had just come off a 7-game series. It's the first time the Spurs have played in the finals, and I understand the Knicks hadn't been in the finals either, but that team's older and more experienced, has a little bit more playoff wear and tear. So the Knicks win game 1. Understandable. The Spurs win game 3. They were down 0-2, had to have it. The other 2 games have been the games that have come down to the wire. And if I'm a Spurs fan, I'd feel today like my team gagged both of them. They had the ball, tie game, at home with like 15 seconds left. Could have held for the final shot. At worst, that game should have gone to overtime. But Wemby throws it away, commits a dumb foul, and then we don't get the game winner, to take the lead at the final shot. I'd feel like my team gagged that at home, game 2. I definitely feel like my team gagged last night, set aside the 29-point lead because leads evaporate in the NBA all the time. But I'd be like, so De'Aaron Fox not having good situational awareness there. I think Wemby playing almost the entire second half, I think he was tired. And that's a coaching thing. You can always nitpick for you should have taken a timeout here or there. You can always armchair quarterback that stuff. But big picture, like, I'd feel like my team gagged 2 of these games. You give game 1 to the Knicks, no problem. You give game 3 to the Spurs, no problem. The series has been decided in the other 2 games. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'd feel like my team gagged. This is their coach, Mitch Johnson, last night. And this stuff never plays well because people hear these comments and they think, oh, that's, it's being a bad loser. That's being salty. I think he's right.
What are you drawing from what this team's been around the last couple of years to kind of get them back to an equilibrium where they can try to put this by the side and get ready for game 5?
Yeah, I think, again, we have 2 days to put everything we have into that game. That's the only game that matters. And, by no means am I not acknowledging the Knicks and what they've done and give them credit for playing good basketball, but we feel like we've decided the outcome of all 4 games. And we need to be better in the next game. I
agree. Anytime a coach or a player comes out and says that, all credit to the Knicks, but we lost this game. They didn't win it. Everybody goes, oh, God, get a load of this guy. But I think he's right. And if I was a Spurs fan, I'd feel the same way. I'd feel like my team gagged game 3 or game 2 and gagged game 4. And now we're down 3-1. I mean, it should be at the very worst tied 2. If I'm a Spurs fan, I might feel like we should be up 3-1 right now. Wemby's 22. It's a really young team. So I, as an outsider and someone who doesn't expect Wemby to just be the best player in the world, and I don't think that Wemby is on the same level as Giannis or Jokic when they won their titles. Doesn't mean he won't get there, but I don't think he's there right now. I don't hold that against him to the degree that some other people do, but I understand that other people do. And here's the thing, like, you're in the finals now. The games are winnable now. There's a title to be had now. And if I was a Spurs fan or just someone who wanted to see Wemby and the Spurs win, I'd think you're not going to get a million cracks at this thing. It's hard to blow finals games and say, well, we're young. We'll learn from this and we'll be back. Probably they will be. But you don't know that for sure. Just sucks. From a Spurs perspective, I don't really care. I wish it was tied 2-2 because I'd like this series to be juicier down the line, and now it's 3-1. It's probably done. Probably. almost certainly done. It's only been done once, a 3-1 comeback. And I happen to think that was led by the greatest player of all time, LeBron. So, like, I wouldn't bet on that at all. So I wish the series was 2-2 for that reason. But if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be like, man, we're leaving a great chance at a title on the table here because we're gagging in the final minute. All right, opening thoughts on one of the better playoff basketball games I've seen in my lifetime. That was last night. If you want to leave that and move on, we can do that. I'll give you a little room on the other side here. If you want to jump in and talk NBA, we can, 608-321-1670. But at the very latest, we will get into the Brewers game last night. I'll give you a take on Brandon Sproat and the road trip as a whole. Your calls in the interim next, 608-321-1670.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Wisco Sports Show. Going to get into the Brewers here at 4:30. Justin Garcia, like I said, will begin and end the show with reaction to last night's NBA Finals game. One of the better games of this century, of my lifetime. They're not all great. In fact, just about every single game of the 7-game series between the Spurs and the Thunder were bad. There's a lot of blowouts. They're not all great. Last night was great. 29-point comeback and lots of interesting, juicy storylines. Like, what does this mean for Wemby? How do we view him differently as a young player? Is this the type of loss or experience that could stick with him, right? Like that's something that we could discuss as well. The officiating was getting tweeted about a ton last night. And maybe it's because I don't have a horse in the race, but I watched the first quarter or two and I'm like, wow, Spurs are playing great. And then I looked at Twitter and it was just a bunch of New York people saying, well, I mean, the officiating, you can tell it's rigged. I'm like, well, wait, was the officiating slanted? Or like maybe, I don't know. The officiating in the NBA is always a question. I played you that clip from Jim Ozarski yesterday or the day before, where it's like anytime a series is 2-0 or 1-2, the league is probably wanting it to extend. So we're always going to look at the officiating sideways. A lot of different storylines in the series to pick at and to talk about. So I'll give you a segment here if you want to jump in, your calls and texts, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, you got to feel for those Spurs fans. You know, seems like they just flushed their title chances down the drain last night.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If the Spurs win last night, even if they just hold on, you know, Cone, even if it gets scary and you feel like they got away with one and they win by a point or two, it's tied. And 2 of the next 3 games are in San Antonio. Like, they're in an awesome spot. If I'm a Spurs fan, I'd be bummed that my team's down 3-1, but I'd be more bummed and frustrated because I'd feel like this should at worst be tied to 2. We should probably even be up 3-1 because I think they gagged both games 2 and last night, game 4.
Yeah, just too bad. But I guess better story for the league to have the Knicks win. So, you know, I'm sure the league offices, Adam Silver's happy.
I think so. And like, it's a bigger market, but they haven't won in forever. You know what I mean? So like, it's a sexy big market team, but it's also not Lakers. You know, it's not one of the, although the Lakers haven't won a ton recently, but you know, like that's a big market I don't naturally inherently hate because they've never won anything in my lifetime.
Yeah, I mean, not yet, but like we saw all the celebrities there the last 2 nights. I might start hating them pretty quickly. I mean, Taylor Swift getting front row seats. Like, isn't she a Philadelphia girl? Shouldn't she be cheering for Joel Embiid?
So I'm trying to just, you know, last night I was like furious because I was cheering for the Spurs and I'm like, it's freaking Taylor Swift and the Haim girls in their shirts. And it's just like, but as today has progressed, Cone, I've just tried it. Like, who cares, Grant? Like, don't be one of the people that just crashes out every time they see Taylor Swift on the TV. You know what I mean? But last night, I'll give you a cowherd spin on this, Cone. Last night felt like it went from Celebro to Knicks game to the Met Gala. Like, Celebro to me is Steve Sherpa and Edie Falco and like those people. Now we got Taylor Swift. And it's like, now it feels like it's become a new thing that I don't necessarily love, but I'm not going to crash out over it.
There you go. And yeah, Kylie Jenner and Taylor Swift hugged, which was apparently breaking news.
And Selena Gomez commented on it on Instagram, which seems like another layer. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you might need a pop culture expert to break this down.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be. I'll consider. There's layers to
Tony
that.
in Texas, I feel. Tony would know.
Yes. Well, and Hailey Bieber and Tate McRae were there. And doesn't Selena Gomez have beef with Hailey Bieber, I think? Hailey, what's her last name? I can't remember. You know who I'm talking about. Baldwin. Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I would love to have beef with those girls too, if that means anything.
If there's someone I have to have beef with, they would be near the top of my list. Yes.
Anyway, Sproat, like, could the Brewers and Chad Patrick have wasted a better start from Brandon Sproat? I'm not even over exaggerating, but I think that was the best starting pitcher performance we saw all year, even from Miz and Harrison. I think Sproat last night was like absolute nails, efficient, tough ballpark to pitch in, got away with only 1 run. And then you bring in Chad Patrick and he blows it in 5-6 pitches.
Didn't take very long. I think the Athletics hitters were probably just excited to see someone else. Kona, I appreciate it. I will give you my Brandon Sproat commentary in less than 10 minutes. I'm going to save that for the next segment. But you are absolutely right. I co-sign and I agree with everything that you just said, Cone. Excellent. I will expand on that after our next commercial break. I'm going to take 2 more calls here, and then we will get to some Brewers talk before too long. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Grant, I'm catching up. I missed the opening segment. Did we already touch on lacrosse restaurant news or no?
No, and I don't think I'm going to do that on the air.
Okay.
For business reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense.
For business reasons. I don't think the story's inappropriate to talk about on the air. I don't know that it makes good business sense for the company for which I work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my only comment on it, just real quick, is Keyshawn Nixon must have some sort of partial ownership there because the amount of delusion that's going on is just is approaching cornerback level. So there might be something about, people from South Jersey that open Italian restaurants and cornerbacks having a similar mentality. That's all I got on that. Hey,
yes, go ahead.
Your Wembanyama stuff, I think it's good. I think you can kind of expand, by the way, your take. You have this short form take on games and human nature. And I talk to my sales team about this every day. Hey, we're way ahead on the year, but it's an annual target that we're chasing. We got to keep going. On paper, we should finish strong. We should hit all our goals. We should get everything we want, right? On paper, Wembanyama should progress into the next great NBA legend. But there's a lot of steps in between there. And I think within a game, you can be 30 points ahead and human nature will pull you back. I think within a season, you can be, win 70 games in a season and the playoffs come and you're like, oh man, I haven't had to scrap for this level.
Sure.
And I think at the career level, we've seen players have early success, whether it's, MLB or NBA, and all of a sudden they stop doing the little things that got you there. And when people talk about the Mamba mentality and honoring Kobe Bryant, that's really what truly separates Tom Brady, the elite quarterbacks and then other mediocre quarterbacks, is just falling in love with the process every step. And so if Wembanyama keeps it up with the off-season workouts and whatnot, I'm sure he's going to be great. If he gets to his head, man, I don't know. We'll see. I think Giannis right now certainly has a better legacy, and it's not guaranteed that it doesn't finish that way. So that's all I got.
Great call, Vagabond John. I'm going to take one more call. So I know the caller on line 4, just give me 30 seconds. It's ridiculous to compare Giannis and Wembanyama right now because Giannis has played a lot more. I only bring it up. I bring it up to compliment Giannis because I think we're so quick to discard what Giannis and Jokic have accomplished. They've both won one title. Neither have been back. They have a couple of MVPs, a title. Giannis has a Defensive Player of the Year. I think Jokic has one more MVP. And we look at both of those guys and say, we thought they'd win more. Maybe they will, but I'd bet against it. We thought they'd win more. And then we see Wemby in game 1 against the Spurs. It's like, well, he will do what Giannis has not. He will do what Jokic has not. He's already on track to be better than both of those guys. And maybe he will, but I'm always going to be like, hey, guys, I know that right now it feels like Giannis and Jokic have underachieved. You do realize that they have multiple MVPs. They were both the best player on a title team. Giannis won 50 to get it done, made free throw. Giannis made all of his free throws in that game 6. Wemby bricked 2 of them last night. And in that moment, I'm like, well, there you go. Like, you want to do what Giannis did? Well, Giannis only has won 1. Okay, but can you make 2 free throws on the road in a huge game? Can you come up with a big block or a stop when you need it in a big game on the road like Giannis did in Phoenix? So, like, we're so quick to discard guys. Well, they've only won 1. Wemby will be better than that. Maybe, but do you realize how far off we are? Like, how much a guy like Wemby still has to do? There's so much he has to do to get to that spot. And it's like we treat it as a foregone conclusion. So that's kind of what I've said multiple times throughout this postseason run. I thought last night was a great example. That's kind of what Vagabond John was hinting at there. One more call here. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant Clemhead. How you doing?
Clemhead. I'm well.
Good. This Wemby. Yeah, Wemby. He reminds me back. I watched the 1969-70 Bucks season, and there was a young rookie center named he wasn't Kareem then. He was Lou Alcindor. Lou Alcindor, and he had John McLaughlin and a rookie named Bob Dandridge and a bunch of guys, and he led them to the Eastern Finals. And they didn't have a team to. But this reminds me of that because he was just coming into his own. He scored 28.8 points a game, I think, as a rookie. But they were behind to the Knicks because that's who they lost to in the division finals. But they were down 24 points in the third quarter of one game, and he led them back, and they tied in one quarter. Mm-hmm. They were down by 24, and that was before the 3-point shot. And he was a one-man wrecking crew, and the guy was the most graceful, talented center I ever seen. I think he was the best player I ever seen. I know everybody will say Michael Jordan, and everybody has their choice, but I think it was Lou Alcindor was the best player I ever watched play. But
reasonable.
That's the year before they got Oscar Robertson and won the division, or they won the NBA title the next year. But it was so fun watching them, kind of like in the early Brett Favre years, watching them build and build and build. You knew something was going to happen. You just knew it was just inevitable. And watching this guy drop sky hooks from 15, 20 feet, and he was so graceful. He could dribble down the court, 7'2", and that was before he put on a little mass. But this Wemby kind of reminds me of that. A rookie. He's not a rookie, but second year he's kind of their only star. I think. I don't know. I don't follow basketball a long time, but a lot of parallels there. So I'll bet you by next year they'll probably be champs. I just have that feeling. Same trajectory as the early Bucks.
Yeah.
So
might be. And Clement, I got to tip my cap, and I'm going to take one more call here, so I'm going to let you go. For someone who hasn't watched NBA in forever, that was an outstanding NBA call. I thought Wemby was really good last night. He hit some jumpers. He played around the paint. He had some great plays where he kind of initiated his own offense, driving in and shooting a floater, a hook, or getting putbacks. Like, I thought he played a very complete, well-rounded game. He was missing one or two more plays at the end. That's the difference, right? And I think he'll get better. But Clemhead, to your point, like, well, yeah, they're on that trajectory. Next year they'll do it. I don't know. Like, what if Stephon Castle, pulls a hammy in the conference final, like Chris Middleton did? It's just so tough to tell. And if they were completely and clearly outmatched by the Knicks, you'd say, okay, well, it's not their time yet. It could be their time. It could be if they didn't gag game 2 or game 4 last night, but they did. So that I think you let them off the hook a little bit. Well, it's not their time yet. I think it could be if they would reach out and take it. They have been unable to do so. One more. I lied, and then we'll talk Brewers next. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Denny and Holman. How are you?
Great show.
Oh, thank you.
So, I thought that game last night, in the first minute, when you had to sit down Towns with 2 fouls, and then they went and they tried to, review it to see if they could overturn it, and then they did overturn it on, for the Rockets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that they could have caved right there,
Yeah.
If they would have gave that foul, if they would have, taken it away from them.
Yeah. I thought the Spurs coming out fast and heavy, the Towns thing made a difference. The challenge was very smart. I hate challenges in the NBA, but I guess that's why they're there, right? I think all too often some of these challenges are like used tactically to stick another foul on a guy. Because you could challenge every play, Denny. You know what I mean? Like, the challenges in the NBA don't do so much for me.
And the thing is, if you're going to call it, you hate the rush to decide the championship. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like one time they're getting mugged and there's nothing. The next time you touch them and it's, you got a foul, and it's very, very kind of like when you're playing, when you're watching the Packers play, and one ref gives the first down to the other team, and then you had the same thing, the same proximity, and then you didn't get it,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But yeah, I just, like I said, I never gave up on them. I mean, it was a hell of a game, and them when they were jacking up the threes, though, from guys that didn't do it, that wasn't good. That was part of their downfall.
That's a big part of when we talk about human nature in these games, Denny. Appreciate it. Teams get comfortable. I'm just going to start taking jumpers, and they cooled off, and it allowed the Spurs to get back into it. That's how human nature in basketball. We're up 29. Just going to take some threes and we'll run out the clock. It's like, well, if you don't make any of them, now the other team's got some juice. Now you've relaxed. It's really hard to get it back. All right, I'll give you my take on the Brewers and Brandon Sproat last night. They went 4-2 on the road trip. It's hard to complain about that. I could find a way, but I won't. I'll give you a positive take coming out of last night, even though they lost next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, he attacked. He was all over the zone pretty much. Did he walk one, maybe? One. And he was ahead in the count most of the time. And yeah, I'm very pleased with him. And, to go as long as he did, that's pretty good. Good start, quality start. Deserved to win.
Pat Murphy last night on Brandon Sproat. Brewers lose 4-3, which sucked. Very frustrating. Chad Patrick in the bullpen not doing enough to hold on to the lead. My frustration more with last night's game was the offense just going to sleep for 7 innings in a ballpark that just demands offense. Can't win them all. Look, I'll give you some Brewers optimism and positivity tonight, which is normally not my thing. I was furious watching the end of the Knicks game last night. I had the Brewers on my second screen, and while everyone's tweeting, Knicks, I can't believe what I just saw, I'm on Twitter, @WiscoGrant. tweeting things like, of course Contreras grounds into a double play there. He's addicted to hard hit ground balls. The runner's on in a big spot in a ballpark where you just need to hit the ball up in the air. Not that Sal Frelick can do it. Good God. Start a count that's not 0-2, Salvatore, just once. And Yelich, too. It's not exempt from this. By the way, we talk about Yelich either tonight or tomorrow. Some concerning trends. Brother's striking out way too much. Keep hitting him leadoff, though, Pat. Whatever. I said I was going to be positive. The positivity is the road trip was 4-2 between Coors and that bandbox out in Las Vegas. And yes, I know Brandon Sproat deserved to win last night. It's a bummer that they lost. Whatever. They went 4-2 on the road trip. And just getting that type of start from Brandon Sproat, regardless of the result of the game, I'll take it. 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts. I think 1 walk. 68 pitches, 44 of them were strikes. That's a step in the right direction. And at the very least, it's a game in which Brandon Sproat can come away feeling okay about himself with some confidence. It was 2 or 3 starts ago, and I can't remember which one. We played the postgame audio on the show. I can't remember. He was just despondent. Let me do a quick search here. He just looked despondent. Here it is, Sproat Q&A. This was with McCalvey. Just listen to how depressed. He's so depressed.
Brandon, we know you want to push to 6, 7, 8 innings. What, when you just kind of go to the 30,000-foot view and assess, needs to happen to get there?
Just, strikes early and often. Right now, it sucks right now, to be honest with you.
Like, listen to how sad he sounds. He sounds
if it was my choice,
defeated.
I'd go 9.
I think that was probably following Saturday, May 30th's game against the Astros. 4 1/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, no walks. I think that was probably that game. And he just despondent, just distraught. And I think even if last night was just a blip on the radar and he comes back out and he struggles in his next start, at least it's a night where Brandon Sproat can leave the park and think, okay, like I was not this catastrophe that the team had to work around tonight. I know they lost. Whatever. They went 4-2 on the road trip. I'll take that. And honestly, I would rather take a Brewers loss last night with Brandon Sproat appearing to take a step than a Brewers win in which Brandon Sproat was awful. Now, you always want the win, don't get me wrong, but the road trip was a success. They went 4-2. Brandon Sproat needs good starts. They're a 2-starter team right now between Mizrowski and Harrison. They have no third guy. They have no next option. It's probably Sproat right now, just out of necessity. And also, I might feel better about him going out there over Drowan. I guess Coleman Crow would be the other guy. Or Gasser. That doesn't mean I feel incredible about Sproat. I feel better about Sproat than I do those other guys, although Drowan's look pretty good. They just need Brandon Sproat to start figuring it out. I would rather take a Brewers loss and that Brandon Sproat performance last night than a Brewers win with Brandon Sproat continuing to flounder. Because I'll take a 4-2 road trip. I'm not as worried about the Brewers on the level, on a whole, as I am about Brandon Sproat and their need for starting pitching right now. I don't think Quinn Priester's coming back this year. Brandon Woodruff might come back, but for how long? Logan Henderson's going to be out until late July, it sounds like, which means probably August, the way the Brewers do things. They've moved that timeline back a couple weeks already. They needed Brandon Sproat to start to put some things together. And at the very least, even if he comes out in his next start and isn't awesome, he just every once in a while needs a start that allows him to exhale a little bit. And help keep him engaged and locked in his preparation and feel like he's making some progress. He won't feel like he's just treading water. Here's Brandon Sproat last night saying that probably his best outing of the year, despite the loss.
Obviously, the outing is the outing, it's good, 6 innings, 1 run. Yeah, it's great. Those are the results. But really, what I'm more proud of is just staying with the process and just keep, just stacking good days, stacking good work. We knew eventually that, it's going to come, full circle, and have an outing like that.
He's saying you just got to continue to stack. I know it's got to come. It will. He does have to continue to stack, and I do think it'll work out for him, but it's really hard for the player to stay committed to that when they're blowing up every 5 days. And he was blowing up more often than not. 4-2 road trip. I'll take the loss and the good Brandon Sproat start instead of the inverse. Mostly because, they had already kind of done the job on the road trip, sweeping the Rockies and winning one game in Vegas. Would have liked one more. They should have been able to win one more. The offense just kind of checked out last night. Christian Yelich is striking out too much, and Contreras hits ground balls. What are you going to do? A hell of a play at short by Joey Ortiz last night. That was a double play with nails. I'll take your thoughts on the Brewers next if you'd like. 608-321-1670. And what the hell? We'll check in a little bit on one of the Brewers' rivals as well. We'll wrap up the first hour with a little bit more baseball talk next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
What about managing? Are you cool with Counsell?
The version of Counsell we got in Chicago is just, to me, strikingly different than the one we got in Milwaukee.
How
And
so?
I'm not sure if that's a smaller version of what happens with GMs so far. Sometimes a GM from a low payroll team will go to a large payroll franchise and have some adjustment issues. And it's almost like Counsell has gone through a similar thing in the managerial department where he's not quite as creative and aggressive that he was as he was in Milwaukee. I see a level of passivity there. I see a level of not really trusting young players. I'm a little frustrated. Moises Ballesteros has played 4 complete games this year.
And they just sent down Kevin Alcantara. We were just talking about it on Off the Ivy, our Cubs podcast, about that's a guy who at one point, hot prospect, looks the look, is guy, toolsy guy. He made a terrible mistake that contributed to an avoidable loss, and he's out and down.
It's some funny audio from 312 Chicago. It's Dan Bernstein and Joe Sheehan. He's the same guy. You got the exact same guy. Same Craig Counsell. Same guy he's always been. I see a certain passivity. Yeah, it's kind of his thing. I see a certain distrust of young players. Yep, that's kind of his thing. A difference between Craig Counsell in Chicago right now and in Milwaukee is he had good players in Milwaukee. He has been the same boring boob throughout. He had good players in Milwaukee. He was creative in Milwaukee. Man, he started what's his face? He started Wade Miley in LA once in a series that they didn't win, despite having Game 7 at home, by the way. Well, he was creative in Milwaukee. Was he? He used Josh Hader. Yeah, the best reliever of the decade with Andrew Miller. That one? Yeah. Creative. That's a word. It's the same guy. He's the exact same guy. Cubs got walked off last night. Now, they are winning today. Counsell got ejected, interestingly enough. They're up 9-3. So I think they're going to win this one. But the Cubs have not won a series. I bookmarked this. When was the last time the Cubs won a series now? The Cubs, their last series win was... Where is it? I bookmarked it. Apologies. Blame the producer. Well, whatever. I'll give you this from Jesse Rogers. After reaching a high mark of 27-12 on May 8th, the Cubs wake up a 500 team, having gone 7-22 since then. On that day, they were first in OBP, fourth in home runs, and seventh in starters ERA. Since then, 26th, 24th, and 29th. A shocking reversal to their season. I still don't know that many of their players are good. Now, that might be eschewing blame from Craig Counsell. All right, fair enough. Call spade a spade. Counsell sucks too. And I hope they never win anything with him. Don't deserve to. A new challenge indeed. Counsell said he wanted a new challenge. Maybe what he was talking about is I would like a challenging. I would like a challenge where I go somewhere and I don't have as many good players. It's so fun. It's so funny, this Edward Cabrera thing. Like, we need a real ace. So they trade for Edward Cabrera and he hasn't been the guy who's been advertised. It's like, imagine, I wouldn't want to be. I mean, I would like a team with a higher payroll. Don't get me wrong. The Cubs is so funny. We need a big stick in the middle of the order. We signed Kyle Tucker. Doesn't work. We need a big stick in the middle of the order. Alex Bregman doesn't work. Well, we need a true ace. Well, let's blow our farm for Edward Cabrera. Why isn't he good? I don't know, because that's pitchers. They're weird sometimes. I wouldn't want to give up the farm for a pitcher. It's so funny listening to them to talk about Moises Ballesteros and Kevin Alcantara. And Cubs fans will say, well, what do you want? Alcantara's not any good. Oh, okay. Oh. So the number one prospect in your organization isn't any good. What do you want the manager to do with them? What's to be done? Manager making $8 million a year, number one prospect in the system. Well, guys, he's no good. What do you want from me? You want me to find a role for him? You want me to use him to help win games? You want me to help build his confidence and show him the ropes in the major leagues? What am I, the highest paid manager in baseball? Well, okay, I guess that thing is true, but what do you want from me? Kevin Alcantara. What do you want? Send him back down. All right. Whatever. He's no good. All right, no good. All right, whatever. Whatever you tell me, Cubs fans, it's fine. We'll talk about Christian Yelich next, and I'll take any of your Brewers or Packers-related phone calls. Justin Garcia going to join at the very end of the show to recap with some more NBA Finals talk with Packers and Brewers next, right after Zach's 2-minute update.
Well, we made all the hot spots. My money flowed like wine.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers are closing out their 3-day mandatory minicamp today in Green Bay. Yesterday, the media heard from Tucker Kraft for the first time since he tore his ACL in the middle of last season, and it was good news for the team. Kraft believes he's going to be available to play at the start of the season with no limits on his snap count. He also thinks he's going to be the same player he was before the injury.
I'm not really buying into the
like people come back off an injury and they're not the same. People come back off their injury. If you're not coming back off your injury the same, then what are you doing? Like, what were you doing your entire rehab? So I have these confines of my rehab, and my trainer and I do my work and then some. So some people might not be the same, but that they don't speak for me.
Packers will close out the offseason program next week with another round of OTAs for just the rookies. Then they're off until training camp gets going next month. Turn to the Brewers. They're back at home after a 4-2 road trip out west that saw them drop the final 2 games to the A's. They're getting the day off before opening up a series against the Phillies tomorrow night at American Family Field. The Crews lead the NL Central, tightened up a little bit with their last 2 losses as St. Louis has won 6 straight to pull within 3.5 games.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences, now Abbott, has teamed up with UW Athletics to help promote cancer prevention and early detection. The Exact Sciences Athletes Program is unique as it connects UW student athletes with the company's work to provide breakthroughs in cancer care and treatment. UW student athletes helping raise cancer awareness to make a difference in the Madison community. Learn more at uwbadgers.com/Exact Sciences Athletes.
Well, we're closing in on the start of the NBA draft. Things get going in just 12 days. Bucks own pick number 10 of the first round. Possibility for more if the team does, in fact, trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Brunson gets it, fires up a 3. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone with 1.2 remaining. Knicks take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106. Harper lobs it inside. Castle hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off the miracle comeback and lead it 3-1.
What in the world did we watch last night? Witness the hand of God. Wow. This finals is going to be as much about the Spurs blowing leads as the Knicks winning game.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, the Wisco Sports Show, presented tonight by Kai's Chevytown. Short drive from anywhere on the north side of Menominee, right off Interstate 94. You can check out their inventory. It's updated daily. A lot of good deals on 2026 trucks, whether you want the standard Silverado, something a little bit bigger, or a Colorado, something a little smaller. Both the 2026 models and some closeouts on 2025s available. And you can check out, I think they had like something like 50 or 60 last time I checked. Models in stock between Colorado, Silverado, the bigger version of the Silverado, which I'm not man enough for that truck, so the name of it escapes me. But between pre-owned, certified pre-owned, and new, that inventory updated daily. They got a ton of it. ChevytownUSA.com, and they're going to run you some pretty sweet deals, whether it's on an interest rate or thousands of dollars worth of savings, especially if you have a trade-in newer than 2012. ChevytownUSA.com. You can check out their inventory. Or if you're like me, satisfied with your vehicle, and why wouldn't I be? I got my vehicle at Kai's. Their service department is top-notch. They actually just expanded a little bit, so they're more efficient than ever, and they've always been efficient. A ton of great techs. The front of house, as I kind of like jokingly like to think of them, Austin, the whole crew over there, they know you, they know your vehicle. They'll get you in and out very efficiently. You can schedule service online, ChevytownUSA.com. If you have any thoughts, that intro, and I think the big story today is Game 4 of the NBA Finals, one of the crazier games of the century. If you have takes on that, I'll take your calls. Phone lines are wide open. You can jump in. Justin Garcia going to join us to chat about that and whatever's going on with the Bucks. Not much, so we'll probably talk mostly about the finals at 5:35. He'll be here from the Bucks Radio Network. We can stick with the Brewers as well. 4-2 on the road trip, and they got a good start out of Brandon Sproat last night. Hopefully a step. Now I know it's hard to take away much from the ballpark. Like, wow, those stats don't matter. Like, I don't think anyone's going to hold Kyle Harrison's performance against him, or Chad Patrick last night. Now, if you give up a home run ball that goes 450 feet, it's like, okay, well, it's not that none of the home runs count, but you take some of those performances and some of those plays with a grain of salt. I would think that because Brandon Sproat pitched well, you can count that, because in no way would the ballpark help with that. Now, maybe he had to adjust his pitching style, but if he adjusted his pitching style and executed it well, okay, well then that's a positive too. So I would rather the Brewers lose last night and get a good step from Brandon Sproat than the opposite, than get a Brewers win and get a bad result and continued kind of just kind of flailing from Brandon Sproat as most of his year has been. He's had some good performances pop up, but it just kind of seems like he's stuck in the mud. Last night, maybe a sign that starting to grow, starting to improve, starting to come along a little bit. So if you have thoughts on that, take your calls. 608-321-1670. Madtown Ryan texts in. Says, I've been reading Yelich's body language, and he just doesn't look like he's having fun in baseball anymore. Well, he's not super emotive. So even when he's playing awesome, I don't know that he's ever looked like the most excited person in the world. I got to read a little bit. Matt Trueblood at Brewer Fanatic today with a really good story. Christian Yelich is back and the breaking ball. The lead is Christian Yelich always finds a way to be productive, and he's doing that again this year. The trend arrows are pointing in a grim direction, though, and a cliff might be near. It says, why are you worrying about Christian Yelich, you might be asking? And you have a fair point. David Hamilton is only slowly pulling himself out of a career-threatening cold snap. Sal Frelick is mired in the same depth of trouble. Blake Perkins, Joey Ortiz, and Luis Renifo are holding on to big league jobs by their fingernails. And that's especially bad news in their cases because they really only do well when they're working with their glove. Yelich, meanwhile, is batting .287, .354, .434. It's a normal season. Find a new slant. Well, no, sorry. There's real danger lurking behind Yelich's superficially solid numbers, and we better talk about it a bit. Thankfully, some new data from StatCast sheds plenty of light on the problem. Yelich is running into some concrete problems with clear explanations. Even if not all those problems are solvable, he's over his skis right now, and usually when you get over your skis, you end up crashing. In his 158 plate appearances this year, Yelich is striking out 28.5% of the time. Only in this hopelessly bizarre, meaningless 2020 season did he punch out more often. He's striking out a ton and swinging and missing a ton. Just adding that in as an editorial, I'm glad to know that the numbers are reflecting what my eyes are seeing. Even that year, he walked at a shockingly high rate. This season, that number is less than half as high as it was in 2020. This would be, in short, his worst strikeout rate and his worst walk rate of his career. He's also hitting the ball less hard on average, hitting it hard less often, and hitting it into the ground more. We know about that last thing. I need to look that up. If none of that sounds good, give yourself a gold star, you know ball. This is Matt Trueblood again, Brewer Fanatic. Expected stats don't always tell the whole story, but Yelich's stand in unusually stark contrast to his solid surface level numbers. He's not controlling the zone well. He's not making up for that by hitting the ball productively in any sense. He's not going to keep being a good hitter if this keeps up, and here's why. And he gets into some baseball savant imagery, and it's not something that I'm explaining on the radio. But basically, he's striking out way too much. He's not walking nearly enough, and he's not hitting the ball hard, meaning that number is going to come down. The one thing that he has going for him right now is average, and it will not remain there. And you don't have to hit 290, 280 to be a successful baseball player, but you can't hit a crappy average and also never hit the ball hard, which is where Yelich is trending. I don't think it's any, shock that Murphy has him in the leadoff role. I wouldn't have him there against lefties. I don't think I'd have him there at all because he's not walking and striking out a ton. But if he's not hitting the ball hard, what are you going to do? Put him in the middle of the order when Vaughn and Bowers are hitting the way that they are and Churio's coming alive and Contreras exists and occasionally hits the ball over the infield. Not very often, but occasionally. Where else are you going to put him? You can't put Sal Frelick leadoff. Good God, he's worse. So I would, again, read the story, Matt Trueblood, Brewer Fanatic. I'll give you a little bit more from that in a sec, but let's take a call. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Slow cooker boy.
Hey, Dave from Monona.
Hey, I'm in an inquiring mind today instead of an abusive mind because it's always easy to abuse all the idiots who listen to your show. Mm-hmm. 2 questions. I don't know. I went brain dead. Oh, what is this? The Milwaukee Brewers. I heard RJ talking about it. They're going to be adding like a home plate club and some type of rich elite where you got to have $1 million down the right field line. And they're going to do something there. I'm trying to figure out what that's all about because our company might be involved, but I'm just kind of curious. Well, do you know what the hell they're talking about?
It'll probably be corporate seats. It's some sort of like a lot of these ballparks. The first couple rows behind home plate, the seats are bigger. There's a little bit more space. It's for, perks for people with more expensive tickets or, Well, I'll just read that. This is what Sports Business Journal. I'm not going to read you the whole story from the Brewers. But American Family Field will add the Trust Club, a new all-inclusive premium space open in 2027, along with a public plaza featuring live music, food and beverage, mini golf, and family attractions. So basically, yeah, it's like a rich section behind home plate, basically.
Mini golf and all. Where the hell are they putting all that in behind home plate?
Well, that'll be outside. So when they say behind home plate, so the seating behind home plate, but then like out in the plaza, kind of so outside the stadium, kind of in between. I think if I'm imagining it here, like kind of between the stadium
like
wall and preferred parking. Just like a plaza area outside, not in the stadium, but outside.
Okay, I got you. So it's behind where they're gonna. Okay, so let's see that something like that is okay. I want the Brewers to be in the stadium, spending money, watching the game.
Mm-hmm.
So let's build something outside the stadium so nobody comes in.
Well,
that sounds like the dumbest idea I've ever heard of.
I think it would be my guess that it's accessed through the stadium, or that you buy tickets to it. It's not like a park where you can just walk up and hang out. Like the outside area has like
seats,
individual.
okay.
But you would pay for it the same way you'd pay for seats.
So you go in and sit behind home plate and I'm bored. Let's take my two kids and then turn around and walk out.
Maybe
into the plaza.
I don't think they're necessarily connected. I think we're talking about two different things. Dave, I got to tell you the truth. I really haven't looked into this in that much detail because this does not.
No, I'm just curious.
I mean, does this offend you? Does this offend you that the team is taking seats behind home plate for rich people? Like most ballparks do that. I don't care. I don't sit down there anyways.
No, the Cubs. That's been my dream, is to sit there right behind to the left of the batter home plate. They have the underground seating there. Nice restaurant. You go down underground, and you come up 5 or 6 steps. You watch the game, or you can go out the back door. It takes you into the hotel behind it. I mean, those are like, my God. But I just heard this home plate, and because I'm up in the third level. So as you know, which you've been treated before, just let the fans know.
Yeah.
You get to the club level. So that's why I was curious if anything's going to be up in that level, but it sounds like it's just going to stay down a lower level or something out down the right field line. Okay. Nope. But that's all I have. I was just curious.
All right. Well, all right, Dave. Appreciate it. You normally don't say goodbye. You just hang up the phone, so I was waiting for you to do that. It's 2 separate projects, so it's not the same. It's not like they're connected. So McCalvey wrote, inside the ballpark, the Brewers will install padded 24-inch seats from dugout to dugout in the first 6 rows, the widest seats in the ballpark. If you have a ticket for those seats, you also get access to the new outer space. Okay, so you can go in between. I was wrong. The Trust Club, 20,000 square foot building already under construction on the southwest side. When finished, it will open onto the field level concourse in the ballpark. So it will be connected. You can go to and from. Pricing starts at $245 per game, inclusive of everything: ticket, parking, food and beverage, both inside the club and the seat. There are no membership or initiation fees, but those tickets are only available as part of half season or full season ticket packages. Okay, so that's good to know, because when I saw $245 per seat, I was originally going to say, this is what we're mad about? You guys, $245 for a ticket is not something only millionaires and billionaires can afford. Now, I'm not going to spend $245 on a ticket, because you can sit on the loge level on the first base side for like $50, and they're great seats. I don't need to be behind home plate. But don't act like the nice club seats behind home plate with access to the outside space. Don't act like $245 is, ridiculous. Now, the thing is you need to be some sort of season ticket package holder for them, which makes it a little bit more exclusive. On a game day, the club will open 30 minutes before the other stadium gates, offering a planned different level of all-inclusive than the Brewers have ever had before. And the renderings are cool. This just isn't something that I've been that mad about. I've seen people pitching a fit about this on Twitter. I've seen other shows talk about it. I don't really care all that much. There's so many good seats in the ballpark that aren't behind home plate. The one bummer, and I've seen people point this out, I don't disagree, is that if they're not full, the angle behind home plate looks kind of crappy because there's empty seats. But you can see that in lots of ballparks. I feel like this is always the case when I turn on a Braves game. Maybe the Pirates, too. Those are 2 teams that come to mind. I'm pretty sure I remember correctly. Guys, of all the instances we have in our country where the little man is getting priced out, this is the absolute last thing. I'm more offended currently by the price of Diet Coke than I am by this. I don't care. It would be cool if they would make it open to non-season ticket holders. I will say that. Like, if I want to spend $250 for a game and to really live it up behind home plate and enjoy the club, I'd like the ability to do that. But you need to incentivize season ticket holders somehow. Like, you do need to give them perks. So I get that too. I saw the Journal Sentinel ran a story with Front Row Amy asking her thoughts about it. And everyone was angry about that. Oh, this is what passes for news? Yeah. Yes, 100%. The Journal Sentinel should interview Front Row Amy. I read that story. I may not have read a story that was written similarly without commentary from Front Row Amy. That's the exact type of thing that the local newspaper should be. Yes. Give something to us that we want to read, something juicy. Not just, the same renderings and the same commentary from the Brewers. So I like the Front Row Amy story. I'm not offended by this. I care more about the current price of Diet Coke than I care about this. And the fact that Christian Yelich is killing more worms than ever before. So read that story. This is more from Matt Trueblood before we wrap up. In 2026, something different is happening. As he tries to adapt to what's happening with his body, Yelich is taking a bifurcated approach, which is producing a bimodal disruption. Sometimes he's sitting on a breaking ball. Other times he's gearing up for the heat. When it's the former, he's usually on time, and he centers the ball on the barrel laterally pretty well. When it's the latter, he's usually early, which means he either ends up getting the ball on the end of his bat or running out of bat altogether and whiffing, and we've seen lots of that. Whiffing or, fouling a ball off down the left field line. The right-hand image, and again, you got to go read the story to look at the imaging, but the way he lines it up with the graphics is pretty good. He's needing to cheat is what it comes down to. And it leads to some limitations on his swing and therefore the results. We should be concerned about Christian Yelich. One more call here, and then we'll take a break. Let's go Sports Show. Who's this?
Yeah, I had to call back real quick. You're talking about reasonable tickets.
Yeah, Dave.
Up in the 400 level, people, you can get them anywhere from $9 to $17 in any game of the week up in the 400 levels. I mean, I've been picking up 10, 20, 30, 40 tickets. So for families that want to go up high, and you want to sit up in that 400 level down right field, left field line, like last Tuesday night's game, Giants, I got 10 tickets for $90.
That's pretty
good. So for families who want to go up there and sit, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of tickets there that are very, very reasonable.
It's not hard to go to a game. And Dave, I appreciate it. I don't like sitting in the 400s. If I lived in Milwaukee and went to more games, then maybe I would. If I'm driving the hour to Milwaukee or I'm there for the weekend, like I can spend $65 to sit on the Loge level. It's a good view down the first or third base line. If the sun's out, I like first base. If the roof is closed or it's a night game, third base is just fine too. Like I don't mind. I'll spend the extra $25 to come down 2 levels from the fourth past the club into the Loge level. But I do think, and Clement Mike on the live stream says $245 for all that. That's pretty reasonable. I agree. That's not a $1,000 ticket. Thing is, it's only available for season ticket holders, which is kind of a bummer. But I also understand you got to incentivize the season ticket holders somehow. You got to give them something. Justin Garcia will be here at 5:35. We'll talk a little bit more about last night's NBA Finals game. A Packers update. What did we learn up in Green Bay? That's coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Last thing for you, Zach. Do you believe in Keyshawn Nixon? The only reason I asked that, I saw some other stations. One of your big time buddies, who's on air on another station, was talking, kind of trying to drum up a little controversy about Keyshawn Nixon potentially sitting out because he wasn't, wanted a new contract, and this it didn't happen. But with the defense ruining the day yesterday, there was one person who ruined the day. Keyshawn Nixon did get torched by Jordan Love and Christian Watson. Are you a believer in Keyshawn Nixon?
I would say no. As a cornerback one, no, but he thinks he is. There are not a more delusional group of people in the world than cornerbacks. And I feel like you have to be.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have zero memory, and because you can get burned one play and it could ruin you. And it doesn't, because they are just delusional because they think they're amazing. And I think we saw that with Jerry Alexander. We've seen that with a lot of guys that you just have to be that type of player to play that position. And I think he's delusional. So yeah, I don't think he should be obviously getting a huge contract extension, but because of who he is, I certainly could see it. Like in terms of like sitting out until he gets a new one.
Sure.
Because also, what would the Packers do without him? They have
That's
zero
actually
depth
a great question, isn't it?
They have zero depth there.
Zero. Do they believe
he does have leverage?
Do they believe that they can win with or without him? Without him? Zach, with him?
Well, yeah, they're gonna. I mean, they're spending $150 or $150 million on wide receivers, so I think they're just going to try and outscore everybody.
Zach Heilprin yesterday with Ebo on Over the Line. Long cut, I know, but sets up what I think might be not the biggest Packers story right now, but it could turn into one of the bigger Packers stories. And I think aside from Keyshawn Nixon and his contract, it's a conversation about the position as a whole. Cornerback. So a couple Packers minutes here before we break at 5:35. We'll get to Justin Garcia to pick his brain about the NBA Finals. Awesome game last night. Lots of juicy storylines. 608-321-1670 if you want to jump in and talk Packers in the meantime. I know that you do not like Keyshawn Nixon. And there are times where I don't love him either. I actually think his play as a corner is by and large fine. Not awesome, but by and large fine. I could do without all of the bonehead personal foul penalties or unnecessary roughness penalties or unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Like, yeah, I could do without all that stuff. And if the Packers ever want to be a serious team that wins playoff games, they will have to do without all of that stuff. So it's not really my opinion. It's just the reality of his boneheaded penalties, of which Matt LaFleur once said, hey, if that keeps happening, you're going to watch the game on the sideline next to me. Which never happened, but I also really don't blame Matt LaFleur for that. They didn't have any other corners. Now they do. Well, kind of. They drafted Brandon Cisse, who hopefully is good and can play. I know they drafted another guy later in the draft. That seems like a special teams, I don't know that that's a real player that, we should spend time discussing right now. Maybe in camp, maybe in the season, if he gets a chance to play, that could change. But really, their cornerback room this year is the same as their cornerback room last year, plus Brandon Cisse. And that's an improvement. It's a nice little chip Brian Gutekunst added, but it doesn't dramatically change the shade, the tenor of that room. Keyshawn Nixon is still your number one. It's a very important player for you. Carrington Valentine, I would imagine, will probably be a starting corner. Now, Cisse gives them a body and a piece in the future, and the flexibility to bench one of those guys if need be, which I think they really lacked last year. I think they tried to bench Carrington Valentine multiple times. They ran out of guys. They got hurt or they didn't have anybody else. Keyshawn Nixon's a fine player. The problem is for the Packers is they can't really afford a Keyshawn Nixon holdout. They don't have anyone else. If they had drafted 3 corners in this draft, sure. Or if they had spent a first and a second round pick, like if they had done the Demarius Randall, Quentin Rollins thing, sure. Then I think Keyshawn Nixon has to stare this thing in the face and basically, all right, team's getting ready to move on for me. I can exercise what leverage I have, but my leverage is limited, and I'll have to play on this contract. It's the exact same thing that Elton Jenkins went through last year, where it's like, this team's getting ready to move off of me. I will exercise all the leverage I have. But Elton Jenkins didn't have that much because they had just drafted Belton and they had signed Banks. So there were bodies in the O-line room last year to affect that situation in a way that the cornerback room just doesn't apply. I think Keyshawn Nixon's really going to fight hard to get a new contract. And I don't know how much he's going to make. He is the number 1 starting cornerback on the Green Bay Packers. And I know you guys can mock him. You say he sucks. I don't think he sucks. I think he's fine, which is okay as long as you don't commit a bunch of boneheaded penalties, which he does, or give up on plays, which he does. A Keyshawn Nixon holdout could make things very spicy. And just by and large, I still don't feel great about the corner room. I thought the whole goal of this offseason, the draft, and I guess I forget about Benjamin St. Just. Like, that's a fine player. That's a nice little piece they added to the room. But really, by and large, I don't feel that much better about the future of the cornerback position right now compared to how I felt last year. I feel mostly the same. And if Cisse is awesome, great. Like, that'll be a big step. But if he's, Carrington Valentine, Corey Ballantyne, Quentin Rollins, Josh Jackson type guy, well, then they're no better off. And I know they drafted the other guy, just all the draft people don't really think too highly of him. So I'm not going to think too highly of him until we have a reason to, and he might give us a reason. And when he does, we will reflect that in our coverage and our commentary. I just think Zach brought something up that was so prescient. I think he was right when he said this yesterday. I'll give you the second half of his comment one more time.
Because also, what would the Packers do without him? They have
That's
zero
actually
depth
a great question, isn't it?
They have zero depth there.
0. Do they believe
he does have leverage?
Do they believe that they can win with or without him? Without him? Zach, with him?
Well, yeah, they're gonna. I mean, they're spending $150 or $150 million on wide receivers. So I think they're just going to try and outscore everybody.
I think that is a big part of their offseason. They bought into their wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. The other guy is a number 1 pick. They're going to pay their tight end. They're paying their running back. They're paying their quarterback. This is the offense. So they better be ready to outscore guys because that's how they've spent their monies. And they better hope Micah Parsons comes back and is the force multiplier that, they acquired him to be. And good God, Jonathan Gannon, can you build something in a way that Jeff Hafley wasn't able to do? Like the biggest criticism or the biggest descriptor we got of the Packers the last 2 years from guys like Sam Brookhouse, and I think he hit the nail on the head anytime we would get into this, say something like the Packers this year are the same as the Packers last year, except now they have Micah Parsons, which can make a big difference, but it doesn't speak any more highly to the other players on the roster or the coaches organizing the thing and building the boat around Micah Parsons. Justin Garcia is going to join us next. We'll start to wrap up the show with more reaction to last night's crazy Game 4 of the NBA Finals.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
he choked last night. There's no way around it. And yeah, Mitch Johnson deserves a lot of blame. I'll get to that. And yes, De'Aaron Fox was so bad down the stretch of this game last night that I kind of think the Spurs should trade him. We'll get into that. But don't let any of that blind you to the fact that the best player in the world and the best player in the series laid a Humpty Dumpty sized egg in the second half last night. Now he's 22. There will be better days ahead. But you want to fancy yourself to be this leader, right? You can't let your team go out there. And he's 22, right? Is it fair to say that? Well, the way he talks, the way we talk about him means it is fair to criticize this.
Nick Kostos, you bet. Love Nick Kostos. Good rant. Just gets us back into our segment. We began back at 4 o'clock. Some reaction to last night's game 4 of the NBA Finals. One of the better games this century. Maybe Bill Simmons would say something like that. One of the best finals games I've watched in a while. Here to start to wind down the show, Justin Garcia to help us cover last night's game. Justin, it's nice to see you, as always. You look well. I want to do Wemby. But before let me just zoom out a little bit. I'm not surprised that a team blew a 29-point game in the final. It happens. One team takes their foot off the gas. The other team gets it going a little bit. It starts to feel like the other team gets tight. Like, it just kind of feels like the league. A lot had to go right for the Knicks to win, but I'm not surprised that it was close at the end. That's kind of how this league works sometimes.
I agree with the larger point. I am surprised it happened in the finals, where in theory we have the two best teams that you shouldn't have to worry about this thing. And for it to be it was 20 in the fourth quarter, right? 29 in the second half. I mean, it does surprise me that we saw that much of a lead coughed up in an NBA Finals game.
Did the Spurs start shooting too many threes? Did they relax? What was the number one factor in that second half that allowed the Knicks to get back into the game? Now, we could talk about what happened at the very end and how they won the game, but why were they allowed to get back into the game?
I mean, if as like corny and cheesy as it is to say, I did say before this series started, I thought the Knicks were going to win in 5 because
you were very pro Knicks. Yeah.
They just have it. You know, like we saw it last year with the Pacers. We've seen it with other teams.
That's hard.
Where you get it.
You're supposed to bring higher level.
We're digging into the analysis here. But they just it's a team that's unfazed. And I think a lot of times what we make too much out of is youth. And it was, San Antonio's getting tested here. I don't know if they'll beat the Thunder, but it's nice to prime them for this run. That's not the case anymore. Like, number one, as soon as the clock starts, the clock starts. Your window in this league is 3 years. This is year 1 with the Spurs, and this was year 3 for that group. It doesn't mean the organization itself is done, but this was year 3 for that group with the Oklahoma City Thunder.
For OKC. Okay.
Knicks too, yeah. I mean, this is they're in an interesting spot because of the Jalen Brunson contract, but they have a lot of financial decisions hanging over them this offseason. They're kind of at the same point. Spurs have already started the clock now. It's not your youth and your experience. It's failures that you have gone through and what that teaches you for where you need to be and how you need to attack those moments. And I think that was the biggest thing that shined through last night. And you heard Jalen Brunson talk about it, where I enjoyed what he had to say after the game, that he didn't give you the total athlete speak of no, we never consider losing, and that never seeps in, where it was like, all right, let's just start to go on a run here and see if we can carry something over to the next game. And then when you started to see that pile up, you thought, okay, now we can win this game. And the Knicks, they saw what happened to them the last couple of years. When you think about coming up short last year in the conference finals, especially, this is what the Pacers did to them. Sure. Where now they're like, hey, these are the things that you have to do even when you're down X amount of points. Like, here's how you pull yourself out of that. And I mean, if you want to say it's youth, I think it's more experience, but that's where San Antonio ultimately comes up short. And I mean, it was just it was a masterclass in how not to approach the situation in coaching. by the entire, all of it. You played Victor Wembanyama way too many minutes, and we've seen that as an issue throughout the playoffs. Some of the personnel they were going with, some of the decisions that they were making too. I don't know how much of it was coaching and how much of it was just players freelancing, but it was a very rough night for your guy last night, who I think everybody's going to point to the block on OG Anunoby or by OG.
Yeah.
To me, that final shot was even worse of like, what? Why are you double teaming Jalen Brunson? Victor Wembanyama has him, and you just gave OG a clear path to crash in and get that tip in.
I do like De'Aaron Fox. I cannot defend what he did last night. I know he said after the game he thought he could beat OG Anunoby to the rim, and he's a fast. So I love him, man. He's fast. That's I do love my guy for that. But even if he could beat him there, do you want to? You're trying to go free. You're not making it a 2-possession game. And I know it's so easy for us at home to sit there and say, you need to be thinking, if this happens, then that. If this happens, then that. Like, it's a lot for them to process, but he's been around a while, Justin. He's not a kid. He's not 21 or 22. He's one of the veterans on that team.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the playoffs too, and granted not far, but he's been in the playoffs. That's what you just got to keep dribbling down the baseline and make them follow you and run off 2 or 3 more seconds where if you hit both, I know it's not over, but then you can play the foul game, and at that point there's going to be like 7 seconds left?
Justin Garcia, Bucks Radio Network, do you think that people overdo it with Wemby right now?
Oh, God. I mean... I've talked to you about this before. I don't really love talking about individual players all that much because there's always this danger of I can say, well, I don't like this player because of this, this, and this, and then a year or two later they end up playing for the Bucks and I have to pretend that never happened and find the Men in Black wand. I don't think that's ever going to be the case with Victor Wembanyama. It's not for me.
That's such a funny way of wording that. Just not for you. Not your bag of chips. What does that mean? The 7'4" guy who can do everything just isn't your.
First of all, it's like 7'6", and like he can do most of everything. I just think look, he is undeniable defensively. He's gonna get better offensively, but you are 7'6", my guy. I don't care what you're trying to spin of 7'4". You might even be 7'7". Get into the paint because no one can stop you when you're that close to the rim with a height advantage. We saw it a couple of times. The last sequence too. What are we doing with Victor Wembanyama on the perimeter with 1.2 seconds left? I do think part of that is on him. I do think the biggest part on him is, his conditioning has to get better. And part of it, it's a shared blame with the Spurs. I get why they're doing it, but we're only playing a X amount of minutes throughout the regular season. And then we get to the playoffs and it's go time. I mean, you could see he was gassed in many games of this series in this postseason when the minutes have hit 40 or more. That's got to improve. But I think the biggest thing is, I'm more of a natural skeptic, and we'll push back on things when we just rush to anoint people and things and everything else. And
in a dynamic like this, it's my job to rush and then your job to pull back.
Yeah. I just find him to be very pretentious, and I think there's a lot of act to it. You cannot be the ethical basketball guy and all the other stuff that we've heard about Wemby and then turtle in some of these spots, do some of the stuff that you're doing with the flagrants and I get beat up too, so I'm giving it back. You're giving it back to 6'1" Jalen Brunson. Congrats to you for sticking up for yourself.
Here's what I've said about Wemby, and I'm sure you hear and see this stuff, is we're so fast. I was listening to Cowherd's post-game stream after game 7 with Jason Timpf, who I think is really good. And Cowherd's opening take was, I found myself rooting for Wemby because I just want to get to the dynasty. Let's just get on with it already. And I'm like, how are we doing this? 2 or 3 years ago, I get it. But we know by now that but he hasn't even won a finals yet. And we're already talking about 2 or 3 and this guy running the league for a decade. So I
mean, we're already talking about, he and Shea are the 2 best players in the league. You know what? There's a very good chance that will be the case next year, but let's wait until we get there. And boy, it was in danger too for a while, but I talked about it a couple of days ago of like, I don't get when the Knicks won those and all those games have been winnable by everyone in this series. Like, fine. But you know what? One team has won 75% of them. So that kind of tells me something. When the Knicks went on the road and took the first 2 games of the series, ordinarily, a few people started to point out like, well, teams have come back 0-2 and the Bucks were the last team to do it, without recognizing the fact that the Bucks did that, losing the first 2 on the road. Like, it was a massive difference. No team has ever won the series in the finals when they lose the first 2 at home. I think only 5 have ever in a best of 7 format. And there was just this like, well, this series is far from over. Like, any other team and player, we are saying this series is over, but for some reason we want to rush to hand everything to Victor Wembanyama, that you had these national media types just scared to call this what it was.
I had a friend in a group chat a couple of weeks ago. It was probably after game 1 when Wemby beat when the Spurs beat the Thunder, and that felt like a moment for everyone. It's like, he's here. It's like, well, he's won 1 game in the conference finals, maybe, and he's in the finals. And tip my cap. But somebody in one of my group chats was like, "Is he already better than Giannis?" And I just like last night I'm watching like, oh, okay, well, the difference between Wemby being where he is and Giannis and Jokic, who I think most people would say, well, they've underachieved because they only have 1 title, right? But multiple MVPs. Best player on a champion. I watched Wemby last night. It's like, okay, you're 22, so I'll cut you some slack. But Giannis found a way to make those free throws. He found a way in 1 or 2 moments in that series to get a block or to get a stop in a big moment. And it just, Wemby's not there yet. So I guess I don't know my point, but this is something that I've mentioned on the show a couple of times, and especially today because I think it applies.
Well, and this is like tavern league analysis. I get that. But like the big thing that stood out to me last night too is in the second half, like, you've got to call for I need you to be the one that says the Knicks have knocked this thing down to 5. Like, okay, we're ending this. And he had one of those shots. It was De'Aaron Fox that was the one that was trying to do that. You're the guy. I need you to do that.
One other thing, and by the way, I enjoy the tavern analysis. That's, you need to demand the ball, and then earlier you said the Knicks have it. Like, I like this. This isn't always what I expect from you. Just another thing that I brought up with Bill, I think it's funny. It's not necessarily a deep thought. I just think it's funny. Is people are talking about how, Wemby, the physicality, throwing elbows and this and that, and the Knicks are giving it back to him. I just, for most of my life, people have yearned for the 90s, and we're kind of getting a little bit of it, and now people seem unhappy. So maybe this is just an example of how we always want what we don't have, but I don't know if that's something that's jumped out to you too.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a theme here these last couple of weeks of we want what we don't have, especially off the court here. But yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, would I want to see the New York Knicks win an NBA championship? No, I don't really find the organization to be that likable or their ownership group, but this team and these players, they are. And like Jalen Brunson is another guy that I think a lot of us have done 180s on, where you're still like, I wish you would cut a lot of that out. You've at least trimmed some of that fat from your game. But man, like,
you mean,
yeah, like you are just fearless and you come up big when it matters most.
No, you're absolutely right. We got guys throwing bows and it's angry and it's physical. And it's like, but this is what we wanted. I thought, at least one thought on Celebro. If I was Cowherd today and I had to present my take as a Cowherd take, it would be something along the lines of, and I texted this to our friend Bart last night. The first game was Celebro. Last night it turned into the Met Gala. Like, my Celebro is Steve Sherpa, Edie Falco, Ben Stiller. I'm not inherently anti-Taylor Swift. I actually like the new Toy Story song. I think it's good. And I have no opinion on Haim. But I found myself pulling against the Knicks harder than I would have last night just because of their little group.
No, like game 3, especially when like you knew what to expect, but when they made a whole production out of it and the intros and everything else, where you're like, you know what? This is like to totally sound like the old guy. Like, I kind of want you to not do any of this. Like, if you're going to build this as the Garden and like, oh, the finals are back here for the first time in a quarter century and yada, 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 like, just go with the Oregon, bare bones, strip down intros, all of it, and keep it like authentic. That's what I'm here for.
I mostly, it annoyed me last night again. I can't imagine if I was pulling for the team opposite the Knicks this series. I cannot imagine how I would feel about all of this, because it's really the Knicks story. And then, the Spurs are here. They're the team on the other side. They could be Wichita.
Imagine if it wasn't the Spurs though, and it wasn't like we have the Victor Wembanyama story to tell, like, then it would be insufferable.
Yeah. I guess the Wemby thing still exists. Not for me. That's incredible. That rules. Good for you. He's 7'6". Is he that tall?
He's taller than what he's listed at.
Why would they list him as shorter than he is? That doesn't make any sense.
But you don't want to be viewed as the freakishly tall guy and the connotations that come with that. I mean, like, 7'4", like, that's all right. He's not too tall if we say that.
I guess. Yeah, I thought he was just an average height man. Justin, I appreciate your time. I hope this series gets extended, but now if it does, it's going to be like Oilers Panthers a couple of years ago, where it's like, but really, you know what I mean? Like, even as it gets extended, I won't really be.
I also like. I don't think I want to see them win at Madison Square Garden, given the presentation of the last couple of games. Like, let's get this over on the road, because
I like that.
Last night was your magnum opus for the Garden crowd.
I like that. I actually like that take. Appreciate your time, Justin. Thank you. Enjoy the remainder of these games, however many we get. Nice to see you.
Anytime. See you.
Justin Garcia, Victor Wembanyama, not for me. And I knew, because I've talked a little bit with Justin throughout the playoffs. If I have a question or if it's going to come up on the show, maybe I'll brainstorm something with him. And I know he's been skeptical. He's like, I think people overdo it with Wemby. Just to come out and be like, not for me. I think that's one of my favorite comments from a guest in a while. We'll take a 3-minute break, come back, and final thoughts on the show, whether it's the Brewers, the NBA Finals, or anything else next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Can't really explain it right now. I don't know. I think it's just, execution, greediness, some sort. We clearly weren't the most hungry in the second half.
In the final moments of the game, De'Aaron goes for the layup against OG instead of dribbling the clock out. I wanted to get your thoughts on that particular possession.
I fell on the floor. I couldn't really see. I don't know. I just saw the block.
On OG's tip in, Victor, was there a breakdown as far as blocking out, or was it just simply a great play by him?
I don't know. I didn't see it again. I was contesting the first shot, turned around and saw him up there. So that's all I can tell you.
Can you just explain how that thing fell apart in the fourth quarter?
I think it began before that.
Third row on the left.
Can't really explain it right now. I don't know. I think it's just, execution, greediness, some sort. We clearly weren't the most hungry in the second half.
There's a little bit from Wemby. Just an interesting character. Wemby's a lot more interesting character last year than Shea was in the NBA Finals. Love him or hate him. Justin Garcia, our guest from the Bucks Radio Network, saying, not for me. Okay. God, that's good. I should clip that. Not for me. I think what Wemby said at the end, we were the hungriest team in the second half. You can't be. You're up 29. Basketball is a very human sport in a way that football and baseball is not. Baseball, you're kind of playing with one gear for 162 games. Football, you're going all out all the time. That's how the sport works. Has to be played that way. Otherwise, your head will get blown off. Basketball, we can just take some jump shots here in this quarter. We got a nice lead. You take it a little easy. I don't know why Wemby played so many minutes. I think that's the thing. If you want to second guess Mitch Johnson, it's so easy to second guess coaching. I think at this level, you just need to rely on De'Aaron Fox to have better situational awareness, right? You need, in game 2, Wemby to not throw the ball off the back of Stephon Castle or Keldon Johnson or Dylan Harper or whoever it was. The one coaching second guess, Victor Wembanyama playing 44 minutes in a game that at one point you were leading by 30. Just doesn't match up. So if there's one coaching second guess, it would be that. But for most of the rest of the things, it's like De'Aaron Fox has been playing in the NBA a long time. He's one of the veterans on this team. He might be the oldest guy on this team, at least that played last night. Harrison Barnes, Kelly Olynyk didn't play. Biyombo didn't play. I think he might be the most experienced of the contributing players with a bullet. And he makes a bad basketball IQ play. Shout out Tony in Texas, low basketball IQ. Tomorrow, we'll wrap up the week. Never miss a Friday show. Fins up. Hopefully the weather will be more reflective of that attitude tomorrow than it is right now. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the night off from the Brewers. Be back tomorrow to wrap up the week.